Yeah, look, I really don't know how to react to this news, and it's definitely something I don't know if I'm really super happy about as a massive Spider-Man fan, but it's also like, what the hell? It's just something I have to report on. Again, for those of you who haven't seen, it's being said that Willem Dafoe has teased a Green Goblin MCU return in Spider-Man 4 by saying, I could come back. Spider-Man 4 is slated for release in July 2026. Yeah, he's still something of a Green Goblin himself. In an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Willem Dafoe isn't ruling out another round as Norman Osborn. We'll see. We'll see. I could come back. Tom was great to work with, and the whole series of Spider-Man films that I did were great fun. Again, I think people forget that this guy wasn't just in Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man No Way Home. In fact, that he had cameo roles in Spider-Man 2 and 3, but I'd just like to point out that they felt like more than cameo roles because they actually have like something really cool to do with the story, and it really progresses, obviously, Harry Osborn as a character with Willem Dafoe just in his ear like the whole time. It is definitely something really, really awesome, and I personally feel like we don't need to see Willem Dafoe return as Green Goblin. If I was to say, I think Green Goblin and Willem Dafoe had their happy ending in Spider-Man. Now, of course, in number 1, 2, and 3, he was a massive villain. In 4, he was a even more ruthless villain, it felt like, which was No Way Home, of course. And at the end of the day, he got redeemed. Like, Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker were able to basically cure him. And I don't really know what this means in the Spider-Man universe. Does this mean now in the timeline that Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn is all of a sudden somewhat alive in Tobey Maguire's movies? Again, I really don't know. They don't explain that at all. So unless he comes back in some capacity as like just Norman Osborn, would be probably the only way that would make sense. Because at the end of the day, this Green Goblin should either be dead or cured, and now just Norman Osborn doing his thing. There should be no Green Goblin really anymore. That is, of course, Willem Dafoe. And the thing is as well, even though Green Goblin is the main Spider-Man villain, and some people say it's very similar to the Batman, how you can't have the Batman without the Joker. A lot of people say you can't have Spider-Man without Green Goblin. But the thing is, I don't necessarily know if we've seen enough of Green Goblin, but Green Goblin and Norman Osborn were in Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, technically The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but no one really cares, and Spider-Man No Way Home, and now he's going to be the main villain of the third Spider-Man game, and was Norman Osborn in the other two. I just think there are so many great Spider-Man villains. It's pretty much the best rogues gallery in the world, other than maybe Batman. Let's explore some of these other characters in these movies, like a Scorpion who was introduced in Spider-Man Homecoming that we just haven't seen him actually be Scorpion. Again, he was Matt Gargan in that movie. Wouldn't it be awesome to see a Martin Lee and him become Mr. Negative, and how that affects Peter Parker and Spider-Man? So many awesome villains. Felicia Hardy as Black Cat. How have we not seen her in live action? Please, if you cast Sydney Sweeney as Black Cat, I will literally shoot all garlic aioli sauce out of my private parts. Or even Madeline Klein. Again, I'll shoot even more garlic aioli sauce out of my private parts. Like, this is just the reality of things. There are so many good Spider-Man villains out there. It's really like, why are we needing Norman Osborn and Green Goblin again for a while? Again, I think this is just Willem Dafoe teasing that he could maybe come back one day. Again, even though Willem Dafoe is nearly 70 years old, he literally doesn't look like he has aged. You put some, brown hair dye in him, and the man doesn't look like he has aged. He could literally play Tom Holland's version of Norman Osborn as well in that universe. Like, they could literally introduce Norman Osborn in one of the movies and be like, look, this is now Tom's Norman Osborn, this isn't Toby's, and You know, they could still have it as Willem Dafoe. Like, the man just doesn't age. He has looked the same for a million years, and they could hire a Harry Osborn. But again, by the time they get to that, he'll be probably like 75. And yeah, you're probably not going to do that. You're probably just going to get a new Norman Osborn in. But I think there's definitely a capacity for him to return. One thing I think he should actually return in is the rumored report that I talked about on this channel, that they're going to be making a Spider-Man animated villains film in their animated universe of Spider-Verse films. And wouldn't it be awesome if they had a villains film and they had Norman Osborn and he was voice acted by, of course, Willem Dafoe? I think that would be absolutely kick-ass, and everyone would love that. It would literally kind of immortalize, I think, Willem Dafoe as like Green Goblin, which is crazy to think that, yeah, he just really is Green Goblin, and it doesn't seem like there's no one else who can play the role because of the amazing effort he not only put in Spider-Man 1, but him screaming at Harry Osborn in 2 and 3, specifically 3, I think, and then the performance he put in No Way Home. Again, let's get this man in animated. I don't know how good his voice acting is. I'm sure it's probably good. I'm sure he's trained in everything. Let's get this man to voice act Norman Osborn in a Spider-Man villains film or Beyond the Spider-Verse, all of the above. Let's make it happen. So if you guys have been subscribed to the channel for quite a while now, you guys would know the truth is I'm a fat kid who likes to talk a lot of Spider-Man. And not only do I like to talk a lot about Spider-Man, but I like to talk about a lot of the leaks, the theories, the news, the speculation, pretty much everything a fat, chubby kid with a Shure microphone would want to talk about online. Again, there's probably better things I could be doing, like getting a job and providing for my family, but there's probably worse things I could be doing right now, like beating my shit to a Ballad Angel video. Now that I think about it, this actually might be worse. But you know what? You guys are here, so while you're here, I might as well talk about some more Spider-Man news and some more leaks and all of that type of stuff. We'll start off with the first one, which I find super interesting. It's being reported, according to the Comic Circus, Marvel is planning on introducing their own version of Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin. The studio reportedly wants Tom Holland's Spider-Man to face off against these iconic villains one last time. Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe likely won't reprise their roles. Again, this is a report that we've been hearing for a while now, that the MCU... do I have Tourette's? The MCU will likely get its own Green Goblin and its own, obviously, Dr. Octopus. Again, I actually commented in this, and a lot of you guys seem to, like, agree with me. I actually said that so many good Spider-Man villains, like, imagine a Chameleon story. I love Goblin and Doc Ock, but this isn't needed. I got 146 likes. A lot of people agreed. There was still that fuckwit in the comments. It was like, it's obvious you don't read comics or just like general Spider-Man knowledge. And then, obviously, that kind of pissed me off a bit. Again, who gives a fuck about that guy? We can all have our different opinions here. In reality, I wouldn't really be mad if they did introduce a Green Goblin and a Dr. Octopus in this universe. Although, if I get my nerd finger out for a second, which has clearly not had any action with girls, just more pointing at this 4K beautiful camera, it's obvious, in my opinion, there are so many great Spider-Man stories to be told out there. Why do we need another Green Goblin and another Dr. Octopus story? Again, when you think about it, in the last 25 years of Spider-Man film and media, we've had Green Goblin, of course, in Spider-Man 1. We obviously had the Harry Osborn Green Goblin in Spider-Man 3. We had Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2. Again, they had that stupid-ass fucking really crappy Green Goblin thing in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. We'll just ignore that for the sake of this video. Then we obviously had Dr. Octopus for the Spider-Man video game. Green Goblin has been getting built up since the first one and will be the main villain of the third game, alongside Dr. Octopus returning. We know that both of those villains were in Spider-Man No Way Home. And again, there's a massive report going around right now that Sony are expected to make an animated Spider-Man villains movie with Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin headlining it for a similar universe as I think the same universe as the Spider-Verse movies. So we've had a ton of Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus. Another argument that guy also made was that we haven't been introduced to them in the MCU, but I don't know if he just missed No Way Home, because even though that wasn't the MCU's universe, Doc Ock and Green Goblin, they were still in the MCU just from Tobey Maguire's universe. So we have seen them on film in the MCU. I do like the idea, but I think there are much better ideas to potentially see. And as I said, imagine a chameleon story for Spider-Man and Tom Holland. I think it would be really awesome as we know, Tom Holland is aging and that his Peter Parker and Spider-Man is going to be way more mature in these upcoming Spider-Man films. Imagine in Spider-Man 5 or 6, we maybe get to see a 23-year-old Peter Parker, similar to the game, where he's a lot more experienced and a lot more mature, and we get to see that more detective side of Spider-Man, very similar to some of the comics and the games, and we get to see him, again, find out who Chameleon is. He gets to encounter Chameleon, he has to work around to find out who this shapeshifter is. It'd be a really awesome story, and it could be something very similar to a detective story like The Batman, which was absolutely awesome. Again, not that I think we need a Kraven the Hunter story, because we just had it in Spider-Man 2, and he's getting his own movie, but that's another one who would be awesome in film. Again, it would probably be too much like the game though, so they might want to skip that. Venom versus Tom Holland Spider-Man is obviously still really cool. We're still yet to get Black Cat. Kingpin and Scorpion, I think, are going to be in the next Spider-Man movie, so we're going to be getting them probably pretty quick as well. There's a ton of great Spider-Man villains who would be really awesome in film. One I haven't even mentioned yet, Mr. Negative, who is probably nearly my favorite Spider-Man villain. I actually think is probably nearly a top 5 Spider-Man villain. His arc and story in the video game, as well as his tie-in with Feast and all these type of things, is just, it's fucking peak Spider-Man that we're yet to see in film. Again, that's where I'm coming towards here. I'm not saying that a Green Goblin and Doc Ock would necessarily be bad. I just think there are better ideas, like a Chameleon story, like a Mr. Negative story, and obviously a Kingpin and Scorpion story. So yeah, I'm hoping they go with that direction, but I wouldn't be surprised if obviously we do get to see Green Goblin and Doc Ock, and yeah, it'd be kind of cool and maybe interesting to see Tom Holland run into his versions of those characters and what Oscorp would look like. Another report, we obviously know about this already, but I thought we'd still talk about this. Spider-Man 3 is officially in the works at Insomniac. According to Insider Gaming, Spider-Man 3 is officially in the works at Insomniac and PlayStation. A Spider-Verse game is also reportedly in development, with early leaks indicating it may include some references to the animated Spider-Verse films at Sony. Again, we know that was actually cancelled. It was supposed to be called The Great Web. I don't think I'll show any footage though, due to like copyright reasons and all that type of stuff. But there was supposed to be a Spider-Verse game. Rumor has it that's going to get turned into DLC for Spider-Man 2 and might come out like end of 2025, early 2026 to tie in with the movie. That'd be kind of cool. We still don't have any idea if Spider-Man 2 DLC is supposed to be coming out. Leak says it is supposed to, and that Spider-Verse stuff has been turned into DLC. We'll have to wait and see. But the Spider-Man 3 logo got leaked. The green on it screams Green Goblin. That's so obvious. I think that he is going to be the main villain. And I'm absolutely in love with it. Again, I know some people are saying that he should turn into a giant goblin. I would rather him don the suit like the movies, in my opinion. I think it would be more like the universe than to have him turn into some big green goblin monster. I don't think I'd like that. Plus, I think there's a perfect opportunity to maybe turn Harry into Hobgoblin as well, which I think is what the story is probably going to be definitely edging to. I can't believe I just said edging in this video. I don't know if I'm proud of myself, but look, there's a lot of Spider-Man news going on. So this news actually happened like probably a couple of weeks ago at this point, but I just had to talk about it with you guys because I don't feel like enough people are covering the fact that it's being reported a Spider-Man animated villains movie is actually going to be in the works by Sony. And I think this is a terrific idea. Again, I'm as judgmental on this Sony universe that I think a lot of people are. I'm not gonna lie, I loved the first Venom movie. I thought it was really good. Then Venom Let There Be Carnage came out, and I wanted to jump off the biggest bridge I could possibly find. I hated that movie. I thought what they did to my boy Carnage and Woody Harrelson's ability as an actor was so disgusting. And Venom, oh man, they took everything that was cool about the first Venom movie and just like compacted it all into one big bowl and just threw it away, right? Then Morbius came out. I didn't hate Morbius as much as everyone else did. I understood why it was a terrible movie. I somehow still found it better than the Venom movie. And now we got Madam Web, which, again, my wife, Sydney Sweeney, was in that movie, but that's still not enough to get me to go and watch it. So their live-action universe, it kind of sucks, and it's in a little bit of a bad place, right? I still think there's some redeeming qualities, but it's in a bad place. The thing is, though, Sony's animated Spider-Man universe has very much kicked off pretty good. We obviously had Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I believe is one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time. I probably have it top 3 alongside Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. Across the Spider-Verse is probably a top 5 for me. A lot of people say it's better than the first one. Again, this is my personal opinion. I don't think that, but I do think it is a terrific movie and one of the all-time greats as well. The thing is, they have a really big ability and a big chance here to build a massive animated universe if they want, kind of to the spectacle of what the live-action universe probably should have been. Again, we've heard talks that a Spider-Woman movie could be in development. I think that's a great idea. I know typically a lot of movies now which are painting this massive feminism picture in Hollywood don't succeed. Again, Madam Web, Miss Marvel, this and that. I don't think that's what the Spider-Woman movie is going to be about. I know a lot of people have just trashed the idea just because it's a woman lead, which I think is completely sexist and outrageous. The Fallout show had a woman lead. Again, just because the main character's a woman doesn't mean the movie's bad. Unless it's Star Wars, because, yeah, the new Star Wars movies have been, they've been pretty fucking shit. Obviously, I'm joking, right? Again, the thing is, a Spider-Woman movie, I think, could be fantastic. And politics aside, which I hope it doesn't have any of that shit in it, I think it'll be a very good movie. But there's an ability here to go from a Spider-Verse movie that was terrific, to the Spider-Verse sequel, which was terrific, to building a universe of a Spider-Woman movie, and now a movie that has villains in it. Again, that would be awesome. According to insider Daniel RPK, an animated film based on Spider-Man's villains is in the works at Sony. The project will reportedly feature various iconic villains of the web slinger as the leads. The other animated film is the female-led Spider-Woman story. Again, I'm all for that. I think people who are trashing on that just because the main character is going to be a woman need to seriously go out and fucking speak to a girl. Shit, I just opened Instagram Shorts accidentally. Or Instagram Reels. Fuck. I'm surprised it wasn't someone getting hit by a car, to be honest. Let's be honest here, though. That is brilliant by Sony. I hope they do make it clear that these are all in the same timeline of movies. I understand that obviously it can't be in the same universe, this and that, most likely because the Spider-Verse movies take place over thousands of universes, right? But here's the thing. Addressing these movies being in relation to the Spider-Verse movies is an awesome idea. We have a possibility to now get a ton of funky and really cool designs, similar to how Kingpin was like a big My 600-Pound Life 8'8" person in the first movie, right? Similar to how like Vulture was in like a 1900s themed in the second movie. There's a ton of really awesome and funky themes of ideas we could get with these villains. And realistically, I don't know if it will be an animated Sinister Six movie. I don't think it will be an animated Sinister Six movie. Reason is, I think Sinister Six is getting its own live action movie. It's been in development since like 2016. Now that the Sony universe is happening, even though the movies all kind of suck, I have a feeling there is still a massive opportunity there for them to do, again, Venom from the first one, obviously Morbius, Vulture, who was in the Morbius movie, Kraven, Rhino, who's supposed to be in the Kraven movie, and maybe someone else in that Sinister Six. Again, it was reported that that movie is happening. I actually think it could be a cool idea. I still feel like you need Spider-Man in that movie, though. I don't know how they're going to do it without Spider-Man. But that's, again, why this animated movie probably won't be an animated Sinister Six. Not just that, the Sinister Six name right now in Hollywood really doesn't carry any weight. But if you made it into a live-action movie, a ton of people are going to be more likely to see it than an animated Sinister Six movie. Because kids don't know what the Sinister Six is. Adults and teenagers who have read the comics do. And again, they're more likely to see a live-action movie probably than an animated movie, right? You guys get where my gist is going here. So this could, I don't know what the title of it could be called, but a movie revolving around villains, maybe facing up against certain Spider-Mans or deciding to create a team like the Sinister Six, but there's a bunch of them. I'm not exactly too sure. There's a ton of different plot points they could do. It's obviously a very cool idea. An animated Spider-Woman movie. We haven't touched on this that much yet, other than me just calling out people for probably not seeing it because it's a woman lead, which again, get fucked. But seriously, I think a movie idea with Gwen is pretty cool. Is Gwen a big enough character now to have her own lead movie? I'm not exactly too sure, but there's an opportunity here where they could almost do what they were trying to do with Madam Web, but actually make it good and in animated. We could see, of course, Julia Carpenter, her Spider-Woman appear in this. We could see a couple of actual Spider-Women. Again, Spider-Gwen is a more newer, I think, take on the Spider-Woman character, especially in movies. We haven't particularly seen anything like that, but there's a ton of different Spider-Women that they can get in there. Again, there's like the 3 from the movie Madam Web. Probably not going to be the same actors / voice actors doing that. There's Silk, which I heard previously was getting a live-action TV show, which was not in the Sony universe. I don't know if that's still happening, but Silk is another massive character we could get. And obviously, there are still male characters that you can include in this. I'm assuming just because it is a Spider-Woman lead, that it's not just going to be only women. There will be some men in this, or at least I hope, because that's when you get into political stuff, and that's when people truly have a reason not to go see it. If it's, again, kind of stupid and pushing a political agenda, similar to how I feel like Miss Marvel kind of did. Again, a Spider-Woman movie with all these awesome Spider-Women characters, and of course some really awesome other characters in it, is the ideal thing that I think a lot of people are going to be really wanting to see, and I think it makes a ton of sense, right? But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. What do you guys think about a Spider-Woman and a animated villains movie coming? Do you guys think this is a good idea? Should it be in the same universe as all the others? I very much like to hear. Haley Steinfeld, obviously going to be a necessary actor. She's got to come back to do all this. She's got to do Spider-Gwen right. That's who I'm guessing the Spider-Woman movie is going to be about. Again, I'd very much like to hear all your thoughts and opinions down below. Subscribe to my gaming channel, which is this one. My sports channel, my IRL / channels. Links for them will be in the description down below. But as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.